has been said. I'm all in, so there's nothing I'll regret. But time is ticking and there's so much that's going through my mind. Will I make it? Yes, I will. Our spirits are entwined. So let's get this show on the road. I'm here, I stay, and I'll carry the load to bring it on with the Archer County Band. But hold on a second now, I'm starting to feel the strain. Was it a bicycle? What is wrong with my brain? Is it the end of me? No, I must still believe. So I'm still alive, you see. Heck yeah, now I'm on my way. But let's stay focused, there's still a job in hand that we must do. Cameras start to click, we know we're creating something new. So go Marty and Sarah and Mark and Matt, Owen, Smitty, McGrilly and Jamie and Lane in the Archer County Band. The Archer County Band. The Archer County Band. The Archer County Band. Stop the clock, we're done, we're rolling. Sound the horn and sing that we are going. 27 hours, that is the time. So let's hop on the bus and let it shine. Shine, 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 shine. Say sha la 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 la, 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 sha la 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 la. Good evening, folks. You are very welcome to Bandido Talks. We are back. It is Friday evening. It is Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. And of course, there has been plenty of jolliness, lots of celebrating, lots of food consumed. But the Bandido is back here tonight to try and express some of his beef with all of this Christmas malarkey. He has to do a little bit of informing for the Bandido Talks audience. He has to inform you all that he does in fact have a beef with Christmas. Of course, the beef will be delivered in good humour, with some comedic undertones. But tonight, folks, it's going to mark the beginning, let's say, for this weekend. Normally, of course, what do? On a Friday evening, we have a Let's Reflect segment. On a Saturday evening, we have a News on the Tube segment. On a Sunday evening, we have our Sunday special, where we take one global news story and sink our teeth into it. That's normally our structure here on Bandido Talks. But of course, it is the festive season. It is Christmas. And so what we're going to do this week is change our structure slightly, just for this week, because it is Christmas. And the Bandido could not give up the opportunity to do a special run of live Christmas shows. It's going to be all about Christmas. It's going to be all about the Bandido's beef with Christmas. And it's going to be part 1 tonight. So this is episode 31. My beef with Christmas. Part 1, gifts. And that's what we're going to be getting into tonight. That's what we're going to be doing this weekend. We're going to go through part 1 tonight of my beef with Christmas. Part 2 of my beef with Christmas tomorrow night. That is Saturday, of course. And then part 3, the final part of the Bandido's beef with Christmas, will come this Sunday. So you better buckle up and brace yourselves. You may be all jolly at the moment, eating all your food, watching your Christmas movies. But old Scrooge is coming. The Grinch here. Bandido's going to perform the function of the Grinch, of Scrooge, over the next 3 episodes. Because, of course, there can be no yin without yang. There can be no light without dark. And so, we don't want the universe to fall out of balance, do we? Too much jolliness, too much food being consumed, too much merriness. We need to balance this out, or the world and the universe will fall out of balance. And there will be catastrophic consequences for all of you folks. So the Bandido is here to serve a purpose tonight. It's a worldly purpose, to make sure that everything stays in balance. And so he's going to bring part 1 of his beef with Christmas tonight. So strap in and get ready. Anyway, a few updates, folks, before we get into my beef with Christmas. This Tuesday coming, what date is it? You would think I would know the date. What date is next Tuesday? The 30th. So next Tuesday, the 30th of December, we are going to have our 3rd guest interview dropping here on the channel. That's correct. You heard me correctly. The 3rd guest interview. And a fine interview episode it was. I'm very much looking forward to you hearing and watching this particular episode. It is in the field of health. It is from a 3-dimensional functional movement specialist. I'm going to say no more. We can't be letting the rabbit out of the hat. She is a 3D functional movement specialist. You are going to learn some very interesting things about movement and health in general. So that will be this Tuesday, the 30th of December. Put it in your diary. 7 p.m. Irish time. Tuesday, the 30th of December, our 3rd guest interview episode will be dropping here on the channel. It will be a live premiere at 7 p.m. Irish time on Tuesday, the 30th of December. So that's what's going to be coming your direction this Tuesday. Of course, you will be gearing up for New Year's. You've just finished Christmas, haven't you? Well, New Year's will be coming up. And in this little period between Christmas finishing and New Year arriving, you're going to be given this 3rd guest episode for free here on the Bandido Talks channel. The service that the Bandido is providing to all of you folks to keep you entertained over the holiday festive season. But anyway, that's what's going to be dropping this Tuesday. Put it in your diary, a note in the diary. 7 p.m. Irish time, Tuesday, the 30th of December. Our 3rd guest interview episode. It's a really good one. A really good one indeed. I think you're really going to enjoy this particular guest interview episode. Of course, you can check out the rest of our guest interview episodes. We have already done 2 guest episodes. We had Mr. David Feeney from Desi's Casual Clothing, our first guest interview episode. Then we had Mr. Stevie J a couple of weeks ago. All things business, the fundamentals of business. 2 excellent episodes. Absolutely excellent episodes. If you are business inclined, they are absolutely suitable for you. You are going to learn a lot from Mr. David Feeney and from Mr. Stevie J. So I highly would encourage you, or I would highly encourage you, to check out those 2 guest episodes that are already up on the channel. And of course, our third one will be coming this Tuesday. Now, of course, folks, if you do enjoy our little live streams here on a Friday, normally it's our Let's Reflect segment. We kind of are reflecting tonight. It's going to be one big Let's Reflect segment across tonight, Saturday and Sunday. So if you do enjoy our little Friday live stream, then feel free to give us a like, a thumbs up. Your charity, as I always say, is very much welcome here on the channel. Of course, if you are joining us live, folks, I would encourage you to get into the live chat. Engagement with the show is always welcome. We will go through all of our live chats at the end of the show. Some of you may have some choice words for the Bandido after tonight's show. Goodness knows how you're going to digest what the Bandido is going to relay this evening. So you can let me know in the live chat. Let me know what you think about what it is that we're going to talk about. We will deal with all of those live chats at the end of the show, if we have any. And of course, if you are watching this show after the live event has concluded, the same thing applies. Get down into the comments section. Let me know what you think about everything we are going to talk about tonight. The Bandido's beef with Christmas and gifts in particular tonight. And then finally, folks, if you enjoy what we do here on Bandido Talks, if you find it useful, insightful, interesting, or valuable in some way, then feel free to subscribe to the channel. All subscriptions are welcome. Of course, we have lots of content coming your direction every week. We have a live show every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 7 p.m. Irish time here on YouTube. So you always have your 3 live shows, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 7 p.m. Irish time here on YouTube, live. In addition to that, every Tuesday, you will have either a guest interview upload, like this Tuesday coming, the 30th of December, or you will have a best bits upload where we essentially take highlights from our previous week's shows. So every Tuesday you have the guest interview or a best bits compilation episode, and then throughout the week we will be posting Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, we will be posting some extended snippets of our live shows, 10 to 20 minutes. These 10 to 20 minute snippets of our live shows, because I understand, folks, the Bandido rambles. He can go on for an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes on his live shows, and that's a little too much to take in. Some of you don't have time to go down through 90 minutes or 120 minutes of the Bandido rambling. And so what we do is, throughout the week, normally we're going to do this on a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday, we will post more extended snippets, 10 to 20 minutes. We posted a couple of them this week. They've done very well indeed. More digestible snippets for you folks who maybe haven't watched the full live show. Of course, I would encourage you to watch the full live show. You get all of the context of what it is that we are talking about, but we will be posting those shorter segments, 10 to 20 minutes throughout the week as well. We, of course, have our YouTube shorts. Those are normally, a minute, 2 minutes, so we keep you entertained. If you don't have time to go down through our extended segments or live shows, we have the YouTube shorts as well to keep you informed about what we've been talking about throughout our live shows. And then finally, if that wasn't enough, you're thinking, goodness me, Mr. Bandido, you are showering me with so much content, so much value. I know that's what you're thinking, but there's more to come. Because we are going to be providing you with some original music here on the channel. A little different because normally it's a talk show. Normally we just talk here on Bandido Talks. But we will be providing you with some original music as well. Once the Bandido gets his few bits and pieces, we could say, recorded, his original compositions. No covers, we don't want any strikes, no copyright strikes here on the channel. We can't afford We cannot afford to have the channel taken down. What a tragedy that would be. So original music only. That will also be coming your direction. And one final thing to inform you all about. There's another little angle to the channel that we are going to introduce in the new year. And the new angle that we are going to introduce is as follows. In addition to everything I've already said, we are also going to bring one episode per week completely in Spanish. You heard me correctly. The Bandido can speak fluent Spanish. So we are going to drop one episode every week, exclusively in Spanish. Fuck knows how long the episode's going to go on for. I couldn't tell you. I'm going to put the camera on. Let's see how it goes. But for those of you who may be interested in learning Spanish, now fair enough, the Bandido isn't a native speaker, but he can speak pretty well. And so for those of you who maybe want to listen to some Spanish, you maybe want to learn some Spanish, and you want to listen to someone who doesn't speak too quickly, who pronounces the words nice and clearly, well then perhaps our little Spanish episodes might be for you. We are going to drop one of those episodes every week, starting from the new year. So hopefully next week we will start, or the week after next, we will start to drop one little episode in Spanish. Don't know what I'm going to talk about, but we'll be talking in Spanish. So for those of you who maybe want to learn Spanish, it's an opportunity to listen to someone who can speak pretty well. Not too quickly, and you can maybe listen along. And, of course, give me your feedback. Let me know what you think about any of these upcoming Spanish shows. And then for those of you who may be Spanish speakers, native Spanish speakers, who maybe listen to Bandido Talks in English, well then you will get to hear the Bandido in Spanish. You will get to hear him make loads of mistakes, probably, because, of course, there is that aspect of grammar that we need to consider, but the Bandido makes mistakes in English as well. So we shouldn't let the fear of mistakes put us off from doing such things as little episodes in another language. So that is also going to be coming your direction as well. One episode a week will be in Spanish. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that as a live show or just a pre-recorded show. Haven't decided yet. I will let you know closer to the time when we will be uploading such content. Okay. So with all of that out of the road, folks, let us get into tonight's show. Episode 31. My Beef with Christmas. Part 1, Gifts. Now, of course, as I said, you can't have no yin without yang. You can't have no light without dark. You can't have no pineapples without mandarins. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if there's any sense to be made out of that, but you get the point. For balance to exist in the universe, folks, we can't have unchecked, completely unchecked jolliness and merriness. The universe must be in balance, and so we are going to bring the Bandido's beef with Christmas to make sure you all don't get carried away with yourselves. And we're going to talk tonight about gifts. And what do gifts mean? Now, of course, there will be a very important lesson in tonight's show. We will get to that at the end of the show. So stick with us. But we're going to have a look at this whole idea of giving gifts. And what is this all about? And why is it that the Bandido has a beef with gifts? And what is it that we can learn from this whole act of giving Christmas presents and gifts to other people? So we're going to break tonight's show down into two parts. On the one hand, we are going to talk about adults giving other adults gifts. So we're going to talk about that first. And then the second part of tonight's show, we are going to talk about parents giving their children gifts. And we're going to look at both of these things. We're going to analyze why these behaviors take place, why I have a beef with them, and what it is that we can learn from all of this gift-giving malarkey. So let's take the first part. Adults giving other adults gifts at Christmas. So let's try to look at this in the basic sense. Why would anyone give a gift to anyone? So I want you to think about that. Why would you give a gift to anyone? What is the whole point of giving a gift to someone? Well, the whole point of giving a gift to someone is for you to signal to that person who is receiving your gift that you value them in some way. So giving gifts at Christmas, it is a way for people to signal to other people that they value these people. That is essentially what is happening when adults are giving other adults gifts. It's a signal. It's a signal to say, you know what, Betty, I'm going to give you a makeup set. The Bandido's going to give you a makeup set. Why am I giving you a makeup set? Because I want to signal to you that I have invested time into thinking about getting you a gift, and then I have invested resources. We could say financial resources. Moolah. I have invested money into buying you this gift, and now I am giving the gift to you. So the gift is a sign of my investment of time and money. And this is designed to be a signal to Betty to say, Betty, the Bandido values you as a human. So that's what gift giving is all about between adults. It's a signal of value being directed at the person who is receiving your gift. Now, I don't really have a problem with that in itself. I don't have a problem with people signaling to other people that they value them. No problem whatsoever. That's fine. So if someone invests time and energy into looking for a gift and then using their money to purchase that item and then give it to another person because they really value this person, I have no problem with that at its core. Because all that person is doing, the person who has bought the gift and thought about the gift, they are just signaling that I value this other person. In other words, they are creating what we could say is a positive, virtuous esteem dynamic. In other words, it's a signal to say, I value you as a person, I really like you, and I want to make sure that our relationship, whether it's a friendship, a romantic relationship, or a business relationship, that it continues into the future. That's what you are signaling. I want to remain as part of this interaction. And that's fine. No problem. But here's where I have a beef. This is where the beef begins. Not all gifts are created equally. And not all gifts have the same amount of time and thought that has been put into them. And not all gifts have the same monetary value. It would be fair to say. And so here's where the Bandido's beef begins when it comes to adults giving other adults gifts. The underlying logic I am fine with. I will signal to people that I care about all the time. I will signal to those people that I value them. So I don't have a problem with that. Now, if you want to signal through giving a gift, that's fine. No problem. But as I've said, not all gifts are equal. And what the Bandido has noticed in his 31 years on planet Earth, not all of them have been conscious. I have to be honest, folks. I can remember diddly squat of the first 8 years of my life. And we're going to talk about this later as well. when we talk about parents giving their children gifts. I can remember precisely 0 of the first 8 years of my existence. Absolutely nothing. It's as if they didn't exist, them years. But anyway, slight tangent. What is it that I'm saying? In my 31 years on planet Earth, and let's just say 23 of those have been consciously lived, I have noticed that some people will hijack this signaling mechanism in order to acquire some credibility and esteem unfairly. Now, what do I mean by that? Hijacking this mechanism of signaling in order to acquire esteem or credit unfairly. Well, let me explain what I mean by that mouthful. So what has happened at Christmas time? What happens at Christmas, and this happens all over the world, you have different people who have different relationships to other people, either in their inner circle or just outside their inner circle. And so what will often happen at Christmas time is that people will have a list. They will have a list of people who they need to get gifts for. They'll have their little list. Betty will be on there. Cornelius will be on there. Pedro will be on there. You'll have a whole bunch of people on this list. And so what happens at Christmas time, and we see this in the shops, we see this in the lead up to Christmas. It's frantic. It's pandemonium on the streets. Because you've got a whole bunch of people going around with their little lists, with Bettys and Pedros and Corneliuses on their list. And you've got a whole bunch of people running around trying to find meaningless, worthless, garbage gifts to give to people on their list. Now, you may say that's very harsh. Well, I don't think it's harsh at all. Because this is what I mean by this signaling mechanism has been hijacked by Christmas. Because it's funny how people think. People think that if they get a meaningless, worthless present, that is a demonstration of the value that they hold for the person who is receiving their meaningless, worthless gift. When in reality, we all know that all gifts aren't created equally. If someone comes to me with a pair of Santa Claus socks, so if any of you out there are watching the show tonight, and you decide that you're going to get the Bandido, a pair of Santa Claus socks. Why Santa Claus socks? Because they're red, and he wears a red bandana. So if you're going to get me Santa Claus socks, please do not expect me to highly value you for that gift. I'll have to be honest. If you're going to get me a pair of Santa Claus socks that cost £2 and that you picked up in a frantic panic while you were down the street on the 24th of December with your list of Pedro, Cornelius, Betty, oh, and then there was the Bandido. Oh shit, I need to get the Bandido something. Fuck, what am I going to get him? Oh, yeah, what could I get him? What could I get the Bandido? He wears a red bandana. I'll get him red socks. That'll do the job. He'll really value that. He'll be able to feel the esteem flow from me, how much I value him, because I will get him a red pair of Santa Claus socks. In a frantic panic. I'm sorry to inform you, but the Bandido will see right through that. Because what you are doing is you are shopping at the last minute, not because you want to get me something, but because you see it as an obligation, because it's on your little list. And you will feel obligated to get the Bandido something. And so instead of putting some serious thought into the type of gift that you want to give the Bandido, instead of actually really having a professional analysis about what it is that could make the Bandido's life better. The Bandido has plenty of socks. I don't know if you realize that, folks. The Bandido has lots of socks. I do not need any more socks that cost £2. I wear trousers with any socks that go up over my ankles. So it doesn't really matter what colour they are. You really aren't going to see them. It doesn't matter if they have a fancy Santa Claus design. I have lots of socks. I do not need a pair of red Santa Claus socks. I did not ask for that. And socks are not really my thing. They don't get me motivated, socks. That's not why I live my life. So that I can acquire more pairs of socks with Santa Claus on them. And so here you are, with your list of people, and the Bandido's down the list there somewhere, and you're thinking, oh Lord Jesus, I need to get the Bandido something. I need to get him something. It doesn't matter how meaningless and worthless the gift is. I need to get him something, because if I get him something, I'll be able to, sort of signal that he's valued, because, I kind of thought about him. He was on my list, and, I was frantically shopping, and I had to get him something. I couldn't leave him off the list. And so I'm going to get him this worthless gift. These socks with Santa Claus on them. And the Bandido will really value what it is that I've got him. He will absolutely be sure that I really value the Bandido as a person. Sorry to inform you, but the Bandido is not going to buy any of that. And this is the thing. This is what I mean by hijacking the signaling mechanism. Not all gifts are created equally. If you are someone who does not really know me very well, and you're going to get me a generic present like a pair of socks with Santa Claus on them, that ain't cutting it. It ain't cutting it with me. And this is the thing, folks. What has happened with Christmas? This is what has happened with Christmas. The thought that would go into a present, that would actually mean something, has been totally and utterly hijacked, we could say, by this whole Christmas entertainment theatre that we see unravel every year. The spirit of Christmas, we could say, has been hijacked by these big marketing firms that are trying to convince you that you need to go out and buy a whole bunch of worthless garbage and give it to people, independent of what those people actually want, independent of what those people actually like. But you have been convinced by the big retail outfits and by some clever marketing that it is in your best interest to go and buy a load of worthless garbage and hand it out to people and think that you are somehow building this great esteem dynamic between you and the other person who receives your worthless gift. How many times, folks, be honest with yourself. How many times have you received a gift from someone and it is absolutely dog shit as a gift? It is useless. It is practically useless. You did not ask for that gift. It serves no purpose to enhance your existence. Yet here you are, saddled with this useless item. And then what happens? And this is where the beef really kicks in for the Bandido. When you receive a gift from someone, what happens in your mind? What happens when you receive a gift from someone, no matter how shit the gift is? What happens in your psychology? You feel the need to do what? You feel the need to reciprocate. When somebody buys you a gift and gives it to you, even though the gift is worthless and garbage, your psychology will probably guide you towards the following decision. Let's just say it'll guide you towards the decision of, well, I better reciprocate, because the person who got me this worthless gift, they've put me in a situation whereby I now feel like I have banked a little bit of Stone Age debt, we are going to call it. When somebody gets you something and you haven't gotten them anything, you feel a little bit of debt building up in your psychology. You feel as if you owe them. And so what do most people do? Even though the gift they have gotten you is shit, you will feel the need to return an equally shit gift to them. And so look at what's happening here, folks. This is where my beef comes in for this first part of tonight's episode. Adults giving other adults presents. We are creating this meaningless loop or cycle of one person getting another person a meaningless gift, and then because one person has received a meaningless gift, they feel obligated because there's a debt building up in their mind because they've received something and haven't given anything out, and so they feel the need to get an equally meaningless gift and give it back to the other person. And the whole thing is meaningless. It means nothing. There is no thought going into the gift. The gift is practically useless. The person who has received the gift didn't even want what they had received. And so what happens? You go out and start spending your money on meaningless crap so that you can just return the signal out of obligation. Not because you want to give this person a gift, but because you feel obligated to give them a gift because they gave you something that was meaningless. And so in order to quieten down the debt in your mind, because think of this, folks, what happens if somebody buys you something or gets you something, you don't return the favour, and then they come a week later at New Year's and they give you something else? What does that mean? It means it's 2-0 to the other person. They've got you two things and you haven't returned anything. You will have a debt building up in your mind. And it doesn't matter how worthless the gift is, you will feel this urge to return the favour. Because in this case, if you receive a Christmas gift and then you receive a New Year's gift and you haven't returned the favour, it's 2-0 to the person who has given you these two gifts. And look at what this creates, folks. It creates a meaningless cycle of gift giving. No thought, no interest. All people are interested in doing is bestowing debt upon some people, and then the people who have had the debt bestowed upon them, they feel obligated. In order to relieve themselves of this psychological debt, they feel obligated to reciprocate and return the favour and give another meaningless gift to the person who first gave them a gift. This is absolute garbage, folks. It is meaningless, it is worthless, it is just practically useless behaviour. And this isn't honest signalling. Remember, let's go back to the start of our episode, or to the start of whenever we started to talk about adults giving adults presents. I fundamentally don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with someone giving someone else a gift. But if someone is going to give someone else a gift, there has to be some meaning behind it. And I understand that at this time of year, there are people in the world who do put some serious thought into their gifts. They spend some serious money. They spend some serious time thinking about how they are going to signal to this other person who is going to receive their gift the value and the esteem in which they hold them. That's fine. Don't have a problem with that, because there's been genuine time and thought has went into the actual process of getting the gift. And also, as well as the time and thought, money. So that's a genuine signal, we could say. That's a genuine signal of value towards the other person. No problem with that. It's sincere. It's authentic. But notice what happens across the world on Christmas Day and in the lead up to Christmas. You've got people going around with lists, not because they want to get these people gifts, but because they feel obligated to get them a gift. There's a big difference between the two, folks. There's a big difference between someone genuinely, in an authentic fashion, wanting to signal to someone that they really value them. And so they put a lot of time and thought and money, perhaps, into getting a gift that represents the degree to which they value this person. No problem at all with that. That's absolutely fine. But then you have these hijackers, these people who see this process, this signaling process, and they see it as a way to earn a bit of cheap credibility with someone. And so what do? They have their meaningless list of people who they need to get gifts for. Not because they want to really get them a gift, but because they feel obligated. And they are doing it to bestow some degree of little psychological debt on this person. In other words, the gift is shit. It means nothing, but the act of giving the gift is enough to generate some degree of debt within the psychology of the person who has received the gift. And then the person who receives the gift, what happens? Even if the person who has given them the gift wasn't originally on their wee meaningless list, they will feel obligated to get them a present. And so notice what happens, folks. We have this absolutely meaningless cycle of gift giving. It's being done through obligation, not because of a sincere desire to signal to the other person that they really value them. It's being hijacked. They are doing it because it's a cheap way to get a wee bit of debt, a wee bit of psychological debt, to plant a little seed in that person's mind, to say, you see, I got you something. You see, I got you something. Now you owe me. In other words, now you owe me for my shitty gift that I got you. And most people cannot resist the urge. Most people will feel the need to reciprocate. They can't help themselves. And so what does Christmas become? It becomes this big burdensome obligation. Nobody really means what they're doing. The behavior isn't authentic. The gift giving isn't actually sincere. It's done from a place of obligation. And when something is done from a place of obligation, in this case, giving gifts, it isn't authentic. It's meaningless. And it's trash. And what ends up happening? Who ends up winning out of this process? Well, you probably had to acquire your gift from somewhere. And so you probably parted with your money. You have probably got yourself into debt over Christmas. You've been using the old credit card to buy a whole bunch of meaningless garbage in order to continue this cycle of meaningless gift giving, all in the name of repaying debt. Because someone else has given you some worthless crap and you don't want to be saddled with the psychological, let's just say, debt that comes from someone giving you something when you haven't already reciprocated. And so what do? You buy a load of crap in order to get rid of this uncomfortable feeling of growing debt in your mind. And you end up getting into real world debt with your finances because of your credit card. None of it's authentic. None of it is sincere. None of it has any genuine meaning behind it. It's a whole bunch of obligatory actions that just have to be carried out because it's just what we do. The culture demands it. And if you are one of these people who is just buying crap in order to offload debt, psychological debt, that someone else has bestowed upon you by getting you a gift, then I am afraid you know what category you go into. You go into the dipshit category because you are now falling hook, line, and sinker for everything that Christmas is not. Christmas is not about giving people meaningless gifts. It's about giving people things that actually mean something. And it doesn't have to be a material item. And this is the big lesson from the first part of tonight's show. We all think that the only way to signal to people that we value them is to get them gifts. That, from my perspective, from the perspective of the Bandido, that is a mistake. Because there's something, folks, that's really important here. When we think of Christmas, what do we always think of? We always think of a physical gift. Who am I going to buy for this year? What worthless crap am I going to give out this year? What meaningless thought am I going to put into buying this worthless crap? That's what it's become. An obligation, a duty. But you see, this is the thing. We always think that a gift has to be physical. It has to be some material item. And you know what? In the 21st century, in 2025, many people have been psyoped into believing that that is what just has to be done at Christmas. That's what just has to be done. You just have to give physical presents and gifts to other people that have no meaning, they are worthless, they aren't practically useful. You just have to do it because it's an obligation and a duty. It's just the thing that you do. No thought going into it. The brain is not being engaged. Autopilot. Have to get it done. Tick Betty off the list. Tick Cornelius off the list. Tick Pedro off the list. Tick the Bandido off the list with his Santa Claus socks. It's a duty. And most people think at Christmas you have to get physical gifts. Well, let me tell you something, folks. You can always buy more crap. There is an infinite amount of crap in the world. You can find crap in your house to give to people. You can find crap in the many thousands of shops that are around you. There's no end to the crap, the worthless crap that you can buy. It's infinite. But I'll tell you something that is not infinite. And it is finite. And you will run out of it someday. I will run out of it someday. You will run out of it someday. And you can never make more of it. You can never get more of it. And do you know what that is, folks? Your time. Time is a resource that you can never get back. Whenever 60 minutes pass, you can never get those 60 minutes back. And there will come a day in your life when you will run out of time. And that is why time is so precious. And not only time, but also your attention. And I would put these into one. Your time and your attention. And the reason why I bring attention in also is because, sure, you can go and meet up with, Aunt Marge. You can go meet Aunt Marge and you can sit there for 60 minutes twiddling your thumbs on your phone and then see whenever it hits 9 o'clock. All right, Aunt Marge, see you later. Yes, I punched in my time. I can get my little list out and tick Aunt Marge off the list. I spent 1 hour with Aunt Marge. But it was a worthless hour. You put no thought into the hour. You didn't give Aunt Marge your full attention. You didn't invest that time wisely. So this is the thing, folks, and this is the essence of Christmas. When you really think about it. The resource that is finite is not the worthless material crap that people are buying in the shops and handing out to other people without any thought. The resource that is finite is your time and your attention. Because someday you will run out of time. And when you run out of time, you will not have any more attention either, because the lights will be off. And when the lights are off, you have an inability to dedicate attention to anyone. So someday you will run out of time and you will run out of the ability to give attention to other people. And this is the thing, folks. This is the big lesson from the first part of tonight's show. Instead of engaging in this meaningless cycle of gift giving, just so that you can reciprocate, just so that you can offload the psychological debt that comes with someone giving you a gift that you didn't even want, and that's a heap of shite. Instead of engaging in this worthless cycle of just giving gifts out of obligation, without any thought, without any meaning behind it, instead of engaging in that, I'll tell you what the most powerful gift is of all the gifts that you could give to someone. You know what it is? You know what the most powerful gift is that you can give anyone in your existence? Your time and attention. That is the biggest signal of value that you can give to anybody. And you know why it's the biggest signal of value that you can give to anyone? Because time and attention are finite. You can never get back the time that passes. And so if you decide to invest time and attention in somebody at Christmas or throughout the year, that is the ultimate signal of value that you can give to anyone. Not some meaningless piece of shit gift. Some gifts will be valuable. As I've already said at the beginning, I don't have a fundamental problem with good thought being put into a gift, money being invested, care being taken, and a sincere signal of value being given towards someone who you care about. No problem with that. You can do that through giving gifts. But if you are involved in this meaningless cycle of gift giving, you really need to think, why am I doing this? Have I been psyoped by 21st century culture, by the big retail outfits, that I need to go and spend my money, get into debt, because I'm using my credit card so much in order to buy worthless crap to give to people, just so that you can try to earn, not even earn, just so that you can try to steal some cheap esteem, some cheap credibility. Because you know what that is, folks? That is taking a shortcut. It's lazy. It's fucking lazy. Lazy. It's a lazy, arsed way to signal value to someone, to get them a meaningless gift. Lazy. And anybody who's tuned in will be able to pick up that that gift means zero. Zero. Let me tell you what I value most. And it doesn't matter if it's Christmas or it doesn't matter if it's the middle of summer on the 20th of June. I'll tell you what I value the most. I really value, there's nothing I value more than somebody giving me their time and attention. There is nothing that I value more than that. That is the ultimate signal that anyone could give me, is their time and attention. A sincere investment of time and attention. And you know the beauty of that, folks? You know the beauty of investing sincere time and attention into someone? You know what's so great about that gift that you can give to people? You don't have to wait to Christmas to give it. You don't have to wait until Christmas to give it. You can invest time and attention into anyone you care about. You can direct that signal of value to anyone you care about at any time in the year. You do not have to wait to Christmas. And this is what happens, folks. This is what happens, and this is one of the driving factors behind this meaningless gift giving. I called it at the beginning of the show, hijacking this signaling mechanism, this signaling process. Why am I saying hijacking? I'm saying hijacking because you've got a whole bunch of people who haven't been investing time and attention in these people who they are supposed to care about throughout the year. And then what do? To try and make up for this worthless attempt at investing time and energy and attention throughout the year, they think, oh, all sins will be forgotten whenever I get this person a meaningless, worthless gift. Oh, all sins will be forgotten. And that now makes up for the absolute lack of time and attention that I have invested into the people who I'm supposed to care about, so I'll get them a shitty, meaningless gift. And then that'll paper over any cracks in our relationship. Well, you know what, folks? If you want to live your life that way, that's fine. It will be you who has the guilty conscience, because you see that person who you are not investing time and attention into, and you're getting them a worthless gift at Christmas in order to make up for the fact that you haven't invested time and attention into them. Someday, that person will run out of time. Someday, that person will run out of time, and they will be no longer living on planet Earth. And so that's the thing that you have to remember, folks. Giving gifts. Why do people give gifts? They give gifts because supposedly it's supposed to be a way of signaling to the person to who you are giving the gift that you value them. But when you think about it, folks, what is the ultimate gift? The ultimate gift is your time and attention. Why is it the ultimate gift? Because it is finite. Someday, you will not have any more time and attention left to dedicate to people. And someday, the people who you most care about, the people who you most value, they will also run out of time and attention. And so when we think of Christmas, let us not be psyoped by 21st century culture, and by customs that we have, and by supposed obligations that we have when it comes to other people, and what the 21st century deems as an appropriate signal of value. Don't be psyoped. Don't be psyoped into thinking that you need to give gifts, physical gifts to people. That's not the only way you can signal that you value someone. Because that's the whole point of a gift. A gift is a way to signal that you value someone. The gift doesn't have to be physical. And in fact, an easy argument could be made that the most valuable gift of all that you could give to someone to really signal how much you value them is your time and attention. And do you know the beautiful thing about this, folks? You don't have to wait to Christmas to give people your time and attention in an authentic fashion. You can do it at any time of the year, and you don't have to wait to Christmas to do it. All right. So that's the first beef that the Bandido has when it comes to adults giving other adults presents. You can signal to people that you value them. No problem. If that means giving them a physical gift that you've put thought into that's actually applicable to that person, and that you've invested the time and the thought and the resources into acquiring that gift, fine. No problem. You can do that. Don't have a problem with that. I personally don't have a problem with that. But if you are a hijacker and you are cutting corners because you've your little list of people that you feel obligated that you need to get presents to them, because it's the festive season. And you're just looking to paper over the cracks because you haven't invested in these people throughout the year. You haven't invested your time and attention in these people, and you think a little meaningless gift is going to make up for that? Well, you are deluded and a dipshit, because that's not how life works. And someday, folks, you will run out of time and attention, and the people who you care about will run out of time and attention. And so we should maybe start to rethink, what is the most valuable gift that we can really give to people? And the most valuable gift that you can give to people, an easy argument could be made, is not only your time, but your full, sincere attention to that person. That's the biggest gift you can give. And that ain't limited to Christmas time. You can do it at any time throughout the year. That's what's so great about it. And you see, if you do it throughout the year and you're consistently investing authentic time and attention into the people you most care about, and you are signaling to those people that you value them so much that you are willing to give up your precious, finite time and attention, that is quite the signal. That is quite the signal. If you are investing sincere time and attention into people throughout the year, that is one mighty signal that you are sending to the people on the receiving end of that. And then you know what happens, folks? A funny thing happens. Because you see, when Christmas comes around, guess what? You don't feel obligated to give anyone anything beyond what you've been doing throughout the year. And so the sense of obligation and duty that comes with purchasing gifts and physical items, that disappears, because you know that you haven't been cutting corners throughout the year. You've been investing consistently your time and attention in the people you most care about. And those people who you most care about are keenly aware of this. They know that you've been signaling to them throughout the year that you really value them. And you don't need some shitty little gift that you've purchased on New Year's Eve to try and prove that. And that's the big lesson. That is the big lesson. You can use gifts as a vehicle for signaling the value that, or the esteem in which you hold someone. But you are not limited to that. Do not be deluded or do not be deceived into this idea that you need to purchase something from some big retail conglomerate whose shop is full of useless garbage. You do not need to do that. You can invest your time and attention in people, and that is arguably the greatest gift that you can give anyone. Why? Because everybody's time is finite. Someday, everyone will run out of time. And so if you are signaling to other people through giving them your time and attention, there's no greater gift in the world. And that can happen at Christmas, or it can happen on the 20th of June in the heat of summer. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we've been going for an hour and 5 minutes, and we haven't even got on to part 2. Let's get into part 2. So part 2 is all about parents giving their children presents. So let's see what we can deduce from this. And the Bandido also has a beef with this as well. Now, what did I just say, if you were listening carefully to the first part of tonight's show? I cannot remember the first 8 years of my life. Absolutely nothing. I really can remember nothing. There might be the odd image that flashes into my mind, but there's nothing coherent, there's nothing extensive. I can remember nothing from the first 8 years of my life. I couldn't honestly tell you anything. I really couldn't. I can't remember anything. It's completely lost to the lockers of my mind. So, isn't that an interesting thing? And I know there are going to be people that'll say, I can remember everything when I was 5 years of age. I think that's horse shit. Even if you can remember something, it isn't that detailed. You don't have an extensive catalogue of images or memories from 5 years of age. You may be able to remember little odd bits and pieces, but you've got nothing. You've got nothing, that is really extensive in terms of the overall memory of what it is that you were doing at 5 years of age. Most people cannot remember what they were doing at 4 years of age, at 5 years of age. If they do remember, they are fleeting little memories, fleeting little images. You can't remember much. It isn't very extensive and comprehensive. And me personally, I can't remember fuck all for the first 8 years of my life. I've got some very vague, hazy images, and if you have any understanding of the human mind whatsoever, the human mind will often make up stuff that isn't even real. So you may think that you're remembering the past, but you know what? There have been a few little bells and whistles that your mind has put onto the memory that weren't actually real. So it's very difficult, in other words. If I tried to get anybody watching this stream tonight to try and remember your Christmas at 4 years of age, you ain't going to remember much. Okay. So parents giving their children Christmas gifts and presents. Why would parents be doing this? If the vast majority of us can remember absolutely nothing at 2 years of age, 3 years of age, 4 years of age, 8 years of age, if we really can't remember anything significant, and the memories of Christmas when we were that age are locked away in our minds, and we cannot see any extensive imagery in the form of a memory. If children are basically unconscious, yes, they're blabbering around going, blah, 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 blah. I want stuff. They're starting to learn to talk, or maybe some of the children, they're still just a blobby mess where they're kind of just bobbling there, making noises. None of us can remember. None of us can remember things whenever we were in that state. Very difficult. And so we need to ask ourselves, why are parents splurging so much money into getting their children who are 4 and 5 years of age a whole bunch of Christmas presents when the children are not going to remember this event at Christmas when they are 25 years of age? Why are the parents doing this? Because most of us cannot remember our early years as children. It is very difficult to do that. And again, I know there are going to be those of you who will say, I do remember. All right, if you want to argue that, I don't care. The vast majority of people, if they're being honest, can remember absolutely nothing when they are 4 or 5 years of age. Most people, if you cross-examine them and they were to honestly answer, if you were to say to someone, tell me what happened at Christmas when you were 5 years of age, most people would stare blankly at you and say, well, I can't remember diddly squat. And that would be a truthful response. And so now we need to ask ourselves, if the children who are receiving all of these gifts and presents are not even going to remember this event, this period in their life, and even if they do remember it, it's very hazy and it's difficult to remember it in any comprehensive fashion. If the children are not going to remember this entire Christmas period as a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, why are the parents investing so much money into purchasing a whole bunch of gifts when the children, number one, children at 4 or 5 years of age have zero appreciation for anything. Children at 4 or 5 years of age are resource acquisition machines. All they want are things. They are self-interested. They have no concept of being grateful or anything like that. They have no concept of appreciation. They just want stuff. And if they don't get stuff, they bitch and they cry and they moan. That's what children do at 4 or 5 years of age. And some people are going to say, my children are different. They are remarkable human beings. They've conquered the English language and they have the psychology of a 40-year-old. They have complete appreciation for everything that I do for them. More horse shit. That is a bias from the parent's point of view. No, your 5-year-old does not have any appreciation for what it is that you're getting them at Christmas. They are not grateful. They just want stuff. And they're going to be looking at their friends or their siblings, and they're going to be counting how many presents they got and how big their presents were and how colourful their presents were. And if their presents aren't as big or as numerous or as colourful, they're going to bitch, whine and complain and start crying and start beating you on the leg saying, I want more stuff. They do not appreciate what it is they are getting. And that is not their fault, because they are underdeveloped psychologically. They are only 4 or 5 years of age. They are not supposed to have developed the psychological machinery to have appreciation and gratitude and to be grateful. It's not their fault, but it is how they are wired at that age. So we can't blame them for just being resource acquisition machines selfishly. They just want stuff. Okay, so if number one, your children have no appreciation for what it is that you are getting them and they just want stuff, and number two, they aren't even going to remember this Christmas period, why are parents buying their children a whole bunch of stuff? Well, let me give you a theory as to why parents buy their children who do not appreciate what it is that they are receiving and who will not remember this particular Christmas when they are 25 or 30 years of age, just like the Bandido. Let me tell you a theory as to why parents are buying their children all of this stuff. Strap yourselves in, folks, because I think you're going to get pissed off at this one. So here we have parents using their children as vehicles in order to grandstand to the village and say, look how resourceful I am. Look how marvelous I am as a human, because I've been able to buy all of this stuff for my child, who has no appreciation for it and who will not remember this Christmas period, but I am buying my child all of this stuff so I can use my child as a vehicle so that I can grandstand me to the village and show off how great I am, because I have so much money and I have such a great ability to acquire resources that I have been able to buy all of this useless crap for my child so that I can broadcast to my friends, to my work colleagues, to my family, just how marvelous I am as a person. How about that for a theory as to why parents are buying their children who do not appreciate any of this stuff and who will not remember this particular period? What about that for a theory? That the parents are actually so self-interested in their own image and their own standing within the community that they actually use their own children. So it's amazing, isn't it? The children are using the parents to get stuff, and the parents are using the children in order to broadcast how unbelievably brilliant they are as human beings. How, let's just say, how great their ability is to acquire resources, how much money they have, how swanky the toys that their child has, how swanky the clothes that their child is wearing are. So there's your theory. Because when we think about this as professionals, folks, if you are getting a whole bunch of gifts for someone who, number one, does not appreciate the stuff that you are getting them, and number two, will not remember why you had even gotten them this stuff, we must then ask, why would the parents do this? And I know there are going to be people who will listen to this and they will say, you are an unbelievably, let's just say, cynical human, Mr. Bandido. A cynical man is what you are. Some people will say that to me right now. And they will try to claim, these people will claim, that the reason why they are purchasing all of these gifts for their children is because they just love their children so much and they just want to get them stuff. Now, I'm sure there is a bit of that in the equation. But let me tell you something interesting. Something that I observed today. I was out in a nice forest park today, out for a walk in the sunshine. And of course, I was bumping into lots of parents with their 4- and 5-year-old children who have no appreciation for all of the things that they've just received the day before, and who will not remember this Christmas period when they are 30 years of age. I'm watching all of these parents walk around with their chests protruding outwards, puffed out, extremely proud of all of the things that they have been able to purchase their children. And if this really was about just getting their children some gifts, then explain this to me, folks. Explain the following thing that I observed today. If it's really just authentically about getting their children gifts and watching them smile on Christmas morning, if it's really just about that, then please explain the following to me. Explain why I observed the following today while I was out on my walk in the sunshine in this forest park. Explain this. So I see this, I'm going to presume, this husband and wife. And they have 2 little, what look like 3- or 4-year-old toddlers. And one of them is sitting in this little automatic truck that whenever he presses the pedal, it drives. And so you've got this little 4-year-old pressing the pedal and he's driving in this little truck out in public where everybody can see him and his parents. And then, of course, what happened? The mother. What does the mother do? The mother gets her phone and she starts to frantically record her little child driving in this little worthless piece of kit that in about 2 years, the child will be too big and the child will not be able to fit in this particular little plastic vehicle. What does the mother do? She's out with her phone trying to record the child. She's recording him driving his little plastic truck. I wonder why she's recording him. If it's all about the children, if it's just about seeing the little smile on their face, why is the mother recording her child with this, we could say, expensive toy that her and her husband has purchased for their child? Why is she recording the child? Well, I'm going to give you a theory as to why she's recording her child frantically. Because she's probably going to upload this to social media, or she's going to send it off to a whole bunch of people. I wonder why she would be doing that. If it's all about the child just having a smile on their face and just driving their little plastic truck, if it's really all about that, then why is the mother taking a video of the child? Why not just observe the child? Just be present, be there in the moment, be there with the child. But oh no, that's not what happened. And I watched this happen throughout the entire walk. I was outside for an hour and a half. I watched family after family, each set of parents out grandstanding. That's what they're doing. They are out grandstanding with their phones, taking pictures and videos of all of the fancy gifts and toys that they've bought their children. Why are they taking videos and pictures of all of these fancy toys? So that they can upload them to social media, so that they can share them with their friends and their family and their work colleagues. Why would they be uploading them to social media and sharing them with all of these people? Because they are grandstanding. The parents are grandstanding, and they are using their children to grandstand, to show off to everyone how fantastic they are as humans, how resourceful they are, how much money they have, how smart they are, how intelligent they must be in order to acquire all of this money, to acquire all of these resources, to get their hands on all of these expensive toys. The parents are grandstanding. They are using their children to grandstand. And there's no better time of the year to grandstand than Christmas, because you know why? All the other parents are grandstanding. It's one big competition. That's what it is. That is why parents are buying their children, who do not appreciate any of these toys, who do not appreciate any of these gifts, and these same children will not remember any of this period of Christmas in 20 or 30 years. The reason why the parents are doing this is because they want to grandstand, because there's one big competition going on at Christmas, and the competition is who is the fanciest set of parents, who is the swankiest set of parents, who is the most resourceful parents, who are the parents who have the most money. And so what do the parents do? They engage in this big competition with one another to grandstand and to one up the other parents. And of course, everybody will deny it. And that's my beef. When people deny it. People, when they hear me say this, they will vehemently deny what it is I am saying. They will say, I don't engage in any competition with my peers. I'm not competing with my fellow family members. I'm not competing with my friends. I'm not competing with my work colleagues. No, I just buy my children a whole bunch of worthless crap that they will not be able to either fit into in a year or two because they will have grown, and they won't be able to actually use some of these toys because they'll be too big. The whole bunch of it, the whole load of this stuff, it's going to be worthless with a short passage of time. The whole lot of it. And these parents, they will claim that they're doing it for some admirable reasons, so that they can just see the little smile on little Johnny's face when he opens his Christmas presents. And as I've said, there probably is a little bit of that. There's a little bit of inner satisfaction watching your little Jeans open their Christmas presents. But then you see, once we get beyond that, it is one big competition. It's one big competition. And that's why everybody's out with their phones. They're all out taking pictures and taking videos so that they can upload these videos and upload these pictures and share these pictures and videos so that they can broadcast to the village, but broadcast to the community, broadcast to friends, to family, to business partners, to work colleagues. All of this is a big advertisement for the parents. One big advertisement for the parents, in order for the parents to demonstrate just how marvelous they are, just how resourceful they are, just how fantastic they are. And the parents will use their own children as vehicles in order to grandstand. How about that for a theory? How pissed off are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Well, that one. But it's just a theory. It may not be true. It's just a theory from my own observations. Maybe my observations are inaccurate. Maybe I'm full of shit. Maybe you've heard the first part of tonight's show and you've thought, oh gosh, you're a cynical man. I should be able to give people worthless gifts if I want to. And I should be able to engage in a meaningless cycle of gift giving if I want to. Maybe you're thinking that. Maybe you're hearing this theory about parents and children and about how parents are using their children. They are using their children to grandstand to the village, to show off all the stuff that they've bought for their children, who will not appreciate this and who will not remember this particular Christmas. Maybe you're thinking, I'm so cynical. Such a cynical man. And actually, you know what? To round off the show, before we get into the live chats, I have to add one other thing here, folks. One more thing. I couldn't believe it whenever I saw it today. I was just shaking my head in disbelief. And here it is. So, I look down my X feed. I go on to X to post some Bandido Talks content. Feel free to follow the Bandido on X, of course. But I go on to X. And of course, my timeline. There's always stuff on my timeline. And what did I see on my timeline? So I see the Prince of Wales, good old William. And I see his wife, Kate, I believe. And I see their children. I can't remember what their children are called. George, maybe. So I see Prince William. I see his wife, Kate. I see their children. They are out walking through the crowds. I don't know if this was yesterday or today. I can't remember the exact date on the video. But needless to say, Prince William, his wife Kate, and their children, they are out walking through the crowds. So you've got a barrier here and a barrier there. And either side of these barriers, you've got this crowd of delirious people. I need to lick my lips for this one. So you've got these crowds of delirious people. People who are losing their minds because you've got a bald guy called the Prince of Wales, Prince William. I don't know what he does. We've talked about him before on Bandido Talks. Do not know what he does. You've got his wife, Kate. Don't know what she does either. And you've got their children. These people, they are billionaires. They ain't millionaires, they are billionaires. Prince William is royalty. His wife, Kate, is royalty. They belong to the royal establishment. They are very likely to be worth billions. Let me just repeat that again. The Prince of Wales, Prince William, is out walking with his family through a crowd of people. Barrier here, barrier there. Delirious crowd. People can't believe that royalty is walking before them. These people are probably billionaires. And what did I see in the video? I saw people in the crowd giving the billionaires presents and gifts. That's right. The peons, the peasants, the goyim in the crowd, the people who are broke, the people who are suffering the consequences of the inflated economy, of the tax rises, the people who can barely make ends meet, the people who have ran up a serious debt on their credit card this Christmas, those people were giving presents to the billionaires. Why is the world inverted? Is the world inverted? What is going on, folks? You've got a bunch of billionaires, royalty, walking down this path. And you've got the peasants, either side of the barrier, throwing presents at them. giving them gifts. The billionaires are receiving gifts from the people who are broke. The world is inverted. It is upside down. Down is up and up is down. Because I see that and I think to myself, oh my goodness, what is going through people's heads? Honestly, what is going through people's heads? I cannot understand why Prince William and his wife, I don't know what they do. What contribution do they make to the United Kingdom? What do they actually do? They are extremely wealthy. And here we have the peasants, the people who are suffering the brunt of inflation, tax rises, and everything else that's happening in the world at the moment, or in the UK at the moment. And here we have the peons and the peasants shouting in delirious fashion at these royal folks, losing their minds on absolute grade A pogos, giving gifts to the billionaires. Think about that. Think about what has become of Christmas. Think about that. We have the wealthiest people, some of the wealthiest people in the United Kingdom, the royal family. People are giving them gifts. Absolute nonsense. Utter nonsense. And that is essentially, that just puts a cap on my beef for part one. For part one tonight, my beef with Christmas. That puts a cap on why I have a beef specifically with gift giving. When it comes to adults giving adults gifts, when it comes to parents giving their children gifts, and the denial of grandstanding and using their children as vehicles. And then here we have some of the richest, wealthiest people in the United Kingdom. And the people who are struggling the most, either side of these barriers, who appear to be on complete autopilot. They are chanting the names of these people. They are throwing gifts and all of this esteem towards these people. And they themselves have not got their ducks in a row. They themselves are literally giving to the wealthiest people on the planet. Why are some of the wealthiest people on the planet? Why? Why would you do that? Why would you be giving presents and gifts and time and attention to wealthy billionaires who do not know who you are, do not really care who you are, don't care how your life is currently going? You are dedicating financial resources, time and attention to billionaires who do not care about who you are or what it is that you are doing in your life. Who it is you are, what it is you're doing in your life. And here these people are, desperately trying to catch the attention of William and Kate and their children, and they're handing out gifts to these people who don't even know them. And instead of investing that precious time and attention and financial muscle towards people who actually care about you, who actually do know you, who do care about your circumstances, who do value you. Instead, you are out dedicating time and attention to royalty, who are extremely wealthy and do not know or fundamentally care who it is that you are. So that puts a cap on all of that. I hope you're able to take it in good humour. Remember, no yin without yang, no light without dark. The lessons here, folks. The big lesson from tonight, and it really comes from part one. The big lesson from tonight's show, when it comes to my beef with Christmas, giving gifts, the big lesson, folks, is the following. The one resource that is finite on planet Earth is your time. And because your time is finite, by default, so is your attention. And because everybody's time is finite, someday, everyone, me, you, everyone, we will all run out of time. And you can never make more time. You can't print more time. You can't take back lost time. When time passes, it passes. You can never get it back. You can never create more of it. Someday you will run out of it. From now until the end of your life, you will be able to find plenty of places on planet Earth that will sell crap. There will be plenty of shops, plenty of retail outfits or outlets that will sell crap. You will be able to get your hands on unlimited amounts of crap. You will always be able to find more of it, and you can even make crap. You can make it with your own hands. And things in general, even if it isn't crap, you can always make stuff. You can get more of it. But the one thing you can't get more of is your time. And so, because time is finite, and you only have a certain amount of it, we could say that your time is the most precious resource on planet Earth. And so if time, and by default, attention, time and attention, if time and attention are combined, the most precious resource on planet Earth, then you tell me, what sort of a signal is it to give someone your time and attention? What sort of a signal is that sending to the person on the receiving end of your time and attention? If time and attention are the most precious resources, we could say, or combined are the most precious resource on planet Earth, if you then dedicate this most precious of resources to other people, what sort of a signal is that sending? Could we not then say that that is the ultimate gift that you could give anyone? If time and attention combined is the most precious thing on planet Earth because it's finite and everyone will eventually run out of it. If time and attention combined is the most precious resource on planet Earth, then it would make logical sense that if you then willingly dedicate your time and attention to someone, that is the ultimate signal of value. It is the ultimate signal of how much you value someone, because you are giving them the most precious thing that you have, which is your time and your attention. And the beautiful thing about this, folks, and the great lesson from all of this is, guess what? You don't have to wait until Christmas to invest your time and your attention into the people you most care about. And so as a result, you are not limited to dishing out this signal of value to only Christmas time. You're not limited to Christmas only. You can do this throughout the year. as much as you want. And then you know what happens, folks? See, when it comes to Christmas, there's no frantic list of items that need to be bought for people. Because you've been investing your time and your attention consistently throughout the year. And so when it comes to Christmas, you're relaxed. You're not buying worthless crap. You're not trying to fulfill an obligation or a duty. You're not trying to essentially cheaply earn credibility by giving someone a present so that it makes up for the lack of time and attention that you should have invested in them throughout the year. You don't need to do any of that. You can arrive at the festive period with a clear conscience, with no obligation, with no duty. You can get people a gift if you want, but you know in your own heart that you have been consistent and you have invested your time and your attention diligently at Christmas and throughout the year. And because time and attention are the most combined, or we could say time and attention combined is the most precious resource that we have, because you've been dishing out this precious resource throughout the entire year, you are now in a position whereby when you come to Christmas, there are no obligations that need to be fulfilled, because you have been carrying out and essentially dishing out the most precious resource that we all have throughout the year. And so you don't feel the need to sink head and shoulder deep into the cultural psyop that is, let's engage in a meaningless cycle of gift giving. Instead, we can just dedicate the most precious resource that we have throughout the year. And what a signal that is to the people that we most care about. Anyway, so that is part 1. Episode 31, My Beef with Christmas, part 1, Gifts. I hope there was some value to be taken out of tonight's show. But before we draw things to a conclusion, let's have a look in the live chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. There could be a few angry individuals in the live chat. Maybe there's nobody in the live chat. Maybe I've been just rambling into the abyss. Nobody's been listening. Nobody's been engaging with the show. But let's have a look and see. Let's see what you guys have perhaps been saying about the show. So, live chat. And it looks like we've got 2 live chats. Let's go from the top down. And let's see who's engaging with the show tonight. Our first live chat is from Jay. JGZ2IB. Jay is back in the live chat. Let's see what Jay has to say about tonight's show. He says the following. Waterproof socks? ? Well, of course, Jay must be referring to what I was talking about earlier with respect to people who may have the Bandido on their list of individuals for whom they need to buy presents. And perhaps Jay is making reference to the fact that the Bandido may have been the recipient of some socks with Santa Claus on them. And perhaps Jay is referring to that little segment of the show where the Bandido said that getting him a pair of socks isn't going to cut it. And so Jay has said, well, essentially, what about waterproof socks? What about waterproof socks? Well, I mean, this is interesting because waterproof socks now move out of the category of perhaps being useless to actually being useful. So we could make the case that waterproof socks have actually required some thought And maybe the person who is getting the Bandido, these waterproof socks, understands that the Bandido likes to get out and about into nature, do a little bit of exercise. Sometimes he can be doing his exercise on terrain that can be mucky and wet. So maybe someone may think, well, you know what? Getting the Bandido Santa Claus socks that are red to match his bandana, that isn't going to cut it with the Bandido. So as a result, perhaps we can shift the focus of our attention. And instead of just getting standard socks, we get him waterproof socks, so that it means when he goes out to do his exercise into nature, that at least his feet are dry. And we could argue that the Bandido might be a little more satisfied with that gift. But it goes back to what we said, folks. I don't fundamentally have a problem with purchasing gifts and giving gifts to other people, so long as there is actually genuine thought and care that has went into the gift, and that the signal of value is authentic. Resources have been invested, thought and time has been invested into the gift, and it's being given for the right reasons. It's being given as an authentic signal to the person who's receiving the gift that you are valuable. No problem. And so if Jay was thinking of getting the Bandido waterproof socks, because the Bandido is someone who likes to get out into nature, and let's say Jay knows the Bandido well, and let's say Jay thinks, you know what, this could be useful. We're in winter at the moment here in the UK, in Ireland. It can be a little soggy, it can be a little wet, and so as a result, perhaps, if there's sufficient thought and care and time that has went into this purchase, and it's being done for the right reasons, because perhaps Jay knows something about the Bandido. If it's being done for the right reasons, then we could say it's just fine. There's no problem whatsoever. It's an honourable way to go about giving a gift. But as I've said, as long as we're not engaging in this meaningless cycle of gift giving, if it's becoming an obligation, if you're doing it out of duty, that should be a red flag. If you're not feeling that, and it's an authentic signal of value that you're directing towards someone, well then that's a different story. So perhaps the waterproof socks may pass the test. It depends. It depends on the time, the attention, the care, the way in which the gift is delivered, the underlying logic and sentiment behind it. I don't want to rule waterproof socks out as a viable gift. They could be useful. But anyway, let's have a look and see what our second live chat is. And it's from Quizzed22. Quizzed is back. He's back on Boxing Day. Let's see what Quizzed has to say. So Jay was talking about waterproof socks, and the Bandido has not ruled out the possibility of being a gracious receiver when it comes to waterproof socks. I don't want to rule that out. I don't want to dissuade people from not giving the Bandido waterproof socks, because perhaps waterproof socks go into the category of a useful present, given the Bandido's tendency to go out into nature and do his exercise. So Jay was talking about waterproof socks. Santa Claus socks are a different story altogether. The Bandido is not interested in Santa Claus socks, but waterproof socks? Perhaps a different story altogether. Let's see what Quiz22 has to say. Is he talking about waterproof socks? Let's have a look and see. So Quiz22 says the following. So he has 3 crying smiley face emojis. Crying smiley face emoji. Crying smiley face emoji. Crying smiley face emoji. Followed by, I'm liking this energy from the Bandido. He's had enough. Well, you see, I'm going to go back to the beginning of the show. You can't have yin without yang. You can't have light without dark. You can't have pineapples without mandarins. If that makes sense. I have to be consistent with what I've said earlier. You know, you can't have your pineapples without mandarin oranges. The mandarins are important. And so this is the thing. This energy, we need to ensure that the universe is balanced, quizzed 22. We don't want the universe to fall out of balance. We don't ourselves want to fall out of balance. We're going to talk about that tomorrow night a little bit, but I don't want to spoil tomorrow night's show. But needless to say, for now, all we need to know, this energy that the Bandido is bringing, believe me, folks, no matter how pissed off you may be with tonight's show, I'm doing it in service of the universe. The energy in the universe must be balanced. An unbalanced universe is a dangerous universe, an unpredictable universe. And so the Bandido, we could say, is fulfilling his duty to humanity by ensuring that there is balance in the universe. And so we need to bring these things up. We need to look at why adults giving adults gifts and parents giving their children gifts. And why the peasant, peon, goyim people of are giving the billionaires gifts willingly. We need to analyze these things because there are lessons. There are, of course, lessons, and we had our big lesson from tonight's show, folks. There are perhaps other little micro lessons in here. You know, don't get caught up in grandstanding. You know, don't give your money away to billionaires. Some other little lessons in there too. But the overriding lesson is one of understanding that time and attention combined is the most precious resource on the planet that we have. And so the Bandido needs to bring this energy, perhaps along with his waterproof socks. Because waterproof socks can bestow a different type of energy upon a person who is wearing them. And perhaps, I'm just saying, if somebody wants to send me waterproof socks, I may gratefully receive them. Just saying that. Putting it out there. But yes, quizzed. The energy is all in service of the universe and ultimately in service of humanity. So anyway, I think those are all of our live chats for tonight. Let me just do one last check to make sure I haven't missed any of our live chats. I believe that is everything. And so that draws, folks, tonight's show to a close. A fine show indeed. Hopefully you're not too pissed off and you can see the vital lessons that we are going to extract from tonight's show, because that's the whole point of it. We want to look at these circumstances and extract the lessons and make sure that we are living our existence in the most optimal fashion possible. But anyway, good show indeed. I'm going to be plugging this throughout the week, folks. Remember, Tuesday, December the 30th. 7 p.m. Irish time, live here on YouTube. It will be our third guest interview episode with a specialist in 3D functional movement. It's going to be a really good show. Put that in your diary. That's going to be coming this Tuesday, the 30th of December. Live premiere, 7 p.m. here on YouTube. Of course, if you did enjoy tonight's show, folks, feel free to give it a like, a thumbs up. If you're watching the show after the live event has concluded, get down into the comments section. Let me know about everything that you were thinking when you were listening to tonight's show. And then finally, if you want to subscribe to the channel, folks, to be notified of all of these things that are going to be coming your direction, our 3 live shows on a Friday, Saturday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Irish time here on YouTube, our Tuesday upload, which could be a guest, or a best bits episode with highlights from the previous week's shows. Of course, we will have segments from our live shows being dropped throughout the week, little 10 to 20 minute segments. We will have original music coming your direction soon from the Bandido. We've got our YouTube shorts with some of our little brief highlights from our shows. And then finally, coming soon will be a full exclusive show en español. Vamos a empezar a hablar en español. Vamos a hacer un episodio en español porque creo que es muy importante. Es muy importante que sigamos hablando en español. Sí, entiendo que es muy importante que hablemos en inglés porque la gran mayoría de la gente aquí que está viendo Bandido Talks, la gran mayoría de la gente va, pues, querer ver el episodio en inglés, pero necesitamos hablar en español. Es muy importante que practiquemos nuestro español, además de practicar nuestro inglés. So there are going to be some episodes coming in español, in Spanish. That'll be coming soon. If you want to be notified of all of this stuff, folks, then subscribe to the channel. That would be my recommendation. You will be notified of all these things coming your direction soon. But anyway, that draws tonight's show to a close. Feel free to join us tomorrow night, folks. We will be back again with My Beef with Christmas Part 2. Indulgence. That will be tomorrow night's show. Feel free to join me then. 7 p.m. live here on YouTube. That is 7 p.m. Irish time live here on YouTube. With all of that, folks, enjoy the rest of your Friday evening, your Boxing Day. I will hopefully look forward to seeing you tomorrow. But until then, folks, it is over and out from the Bandido.